The Mavericks look to take out the Oklahoma City Thunder for the third time this season. We'll preview tonight's game coming up next on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Curler. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys, coming your favorite team every single game night. Really appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to us while you're here. You can do the same for our podcast, wherever you get your podcasts for free. Mavericks taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder for the second time in less than a week, looking to take them out for the third time this season. We'll get you ready for the game over the course of the next half hour with the game time tonight at 7 p.m. in Oklahoma City. Let us know how you're feeling about tonight's game, as the Mavericks will be going at it again, unfortunately shorthanded, but they've got the guys they need to feel to try to take out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the Oklahoma City Thunder.
They've got the guys? Are we sure of that?
They got the guys that's available to them. That's about it.
They do have that.
That's all.
No. I'm not disagreeing, but are we sure they have? It's what
they could use Luka. They could use Lively. They could use some other guys, but unfortunately, that's how the ball bounces with their injury situation.
The whole second segment is just going to be the injury report.
Yeah.
It's going to be lengthy. Yeah.
We're gonna have to sign off to the TV viewers and come back.
And we're still doing the injury report at that particular point.
It's so many.
Game number 45 on the season for your Dallas Mavericks at 23-21. They're 10-12 away from the American Airlines Center. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma City Thunder 36-7 after 43 games, 20-2 at home so far this year. The Thunder, unfortunately, a 13.5-point favorite tonight. Don't laugh, Tanner. It's not that funny. 13.5-point favorite are the Thunder over the Mavericks, with the over-under at 222.5. That's where we start, gentlemen, as we have seen Oklahoma City, I feel like a little too much for my liking as of late, but at the same time, the Mavericks have a chance to do the thing that only one team has done so far this year. They're the only team, I should say, to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder twice, looking to do it 3 times.
And look, they've done it twice. So that's about all you can ask. If you're going to be banged up, if you're going to have literally half of your team out, you might as well, and we've said this, but you might as well get the tough teams out of the way. Dallas has done more than enough against the Thunder. It's a bummer that we didn't get a full-strength matchup between these two teams. That would have been a lot of fun. That would have been a great measuring stick, but honestly, given the state of where Dallas is, given the fact that Luka's not going to be back for, 2.5, 3 more weeks, just get this one out of the way. It feels like it's better off that way than any other way.
It's going to be a tough game. I mean, OKC is obviously going to be looking for revenge after what the Mavs did to them, not just the last time they played, but also in that building more than 2 months ago. So OKC is going to be pretty motivated, but the one silver lining, if you really want to win tonight, even though the Mavs also played last night, so too did OKC. They played at home versus Utah in what should have been maybe a much easier win than it was. Shai played basically the entire game. Jalen Williams played the whole game. I mean, they were playing 35, 36, 38 minutes. So maybe they're a little tired. Maybe they're going to kind of do the thing that the Wolves did last night. It didn't really seem like the Wolves were taking the game too seriously, and the Mavs were this close from taking it from them. So maybe there will be a little bit of that, but I do think that OKC is going to be pretty motivated to get a win. So it's going to be a tough game for sure.
Mavericks come into tonight's game 9th in the Western Conference, sitting a game and a half behind the Clippers for the 6th seed in the West. Currently, unfortunately, on a 2-game losing streak, all your Dallas Mavericks. 4-10 in their last 14 games. As Bobby mentioned, the Mavericks on the second night of a back-to-back after playing last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Meanwhile, the Mavericks 11-16 against teams above 500 so far this year. Dallas will play their next 2 games at home after tonight on Saturday against the Boston Celtics as rivalry week continues, and then they'll welcome in the Washington Wizards on Monday. Meanwhile, you know the story with the Thunder. Number 1 team in the Western Conference, tied for the best record in the association at 36-7. They're 6-1 in their last 7 games. That lone loss, of course, being to Dallas last week. Number 1 in point differential are the Oklahoma City Thunder at plus 12.7 on the year. They are beating down everyone, including teams above 500, where they are 21-5 so far this year. against teams that are above 500. They're also on the second night of a back-to-back after beating Utah last night. They have 2 straight road games coming up after tonight as they take on the Portland Trail Blazers and the Golden State Warriors, which gets us to Bobby Carella's scouting report, and we take a look inside Oklahoma City's home road splits as they welcome in Dallas tonight.
Yeah, so the one difference between today's game and last week's game is the locale. They're playing this thing at whatever arena in Oklahoma City, where the Thunder have not lost since the Mavs went in there more than 2 months ago and beat them. They're undefeated at home since November 17th, so this is going to be a tall task. Now, some of their splits when they're playing at home versus playing on the road are literally identical. Some are even better whenever they're on the road, but the one thing that the Thunder do super well at home, even better than when they're away from home, is force turnovers. At home this season.
Loud City.
What's up?
Loud City.
That's right. It is.
Yeah.
It's hard to hear yourself think. And if you're thinking too much, then you're not playing. And this year they're getting more than 12 steals per game at home versus only 10.5 on the road. And they average 26.4 points off turnovers at home as opposed to just 21.3 on the road. And if you go back to that December 10th, God, that feels like a lifetime ago.
It does.
When times were still good and the Mavs went to OKC and lost that game, Dallas committed 18 turnovers. The Thunder had 14 steals. They turned those 18 turnovers into 36 points. And the Mavs lost that game by 14.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a whole lot of free points. That's a lot of wasted possessions. If you can take care of the ball against them, which is no easy feat, Caruso and Shai and Dort and Jalen Williams, then you got other Jalen Williams taking charges. Like, they got guys swarming passing lanes. They're going to be double-teaming Kyrie. They're going to be getting feisty. They're going to be getting physical. If you can hang on to the ball, then you can do the caveman thing of be big, be tall, reach up, put ball
like you were
here.
louder last time you did that.
Well, we have company today, so I don't want to scare anybody. But if you take care of the ball, then you can score. The problem is, at home, opponents are turning it over more than 20% of the time against the Thunder this year. So ball security is even more important today than it normally is. The other thing that the Thunder actually do worse at home than on the road is rebound. They get less than 2/3 of the possible defensive rebounds whenever they're at home as opposed to more than 71% on the road. That, to me, suggests – I haven't watched every Thunder game this season. I'm not going to lie to you, but that, to me, suggests – that they're jumping passing lanes, they're taking chances, they're gambling, getting into kind of the feel of the game, crowd, they're playing amped up and all that stuff. So, you know, if you can, like we saw with the Mavs last night as they're trying to double ant there in rotation, it's tough to finish possessions with a rebound. If you can take care of the ball and get a shot up, there are second chance opportunities to be had, and that is how the Mavs beat OKC a couple months ago.
That gets us to our lead story for tonight's game as Kyrie Irving is coming off back-to-back 30-point games at 36 last night against the Timberwolves after a 33-point performance against the Charlotte Hornets on Monday. Back-to-back games, by the way, for Kyrie with at least 20 points in the second half. The question will be, can he maintain this offensive production for the Dallas Mavericks? Jason Kidd speaking pregame tonight about the leadership of Kyrie Irving during this time for the Mavericks and how patient he has been as he continues to lead the charge offensively for the Mavericks. Take a listen.
Yeah, I think his patience, his energy, his ability to give confidence to his teammates. I thought he did a great job last night of choosing when to score and then making plays for his teammates, even if they didn't knock down the shot. Just his ability to support in a time like it is right now. His leadership is huge, and it's on full display, and he's, continuing to play at a high level. Being denied, he's encouraging his teammates to be aggressive. Understand that they're not going to make every shot or make every play right, but just his confidence of his support to his teammates is something that we need, and he's doing that at a high level right now as a leader.
And Kyrie Irving's been that leader for them, especially on the floor as of late. We know that he's dealing with the bulging disc in his back, but he is playing tonight on the second night of a back-to-back, much to the surprise of a lot of us that Kyrie Irving's getting on the floor, but they need him tonight, Bobby, with the offensive production that he's been providing. He's going to have to lead the charge again offensively for this team against a very good defensive team in OKC.
Well, before Bobby goes, he talked last night. He talked to us. It was after I came on and talked to you guys on the show, but we asked him, hey, are you going to play tomorrow? He said, that's a great question, TBD. And so I followed up by asking, obviously, how is the rehab going? He says that everything's been good so far, which is awesome. That's all you can ask for. I remember when the injury happened, I said, this is probably not the last we've heard of this. And I still think that's a safe assumption that this might not be the last we've heard of this. That said, it's certainly good that, this occurred, it popped up, he missed some time, but it's been smooth sailing since then. And he's still playing like Kyrie Irving. He's still playing his physical brand of basketball. He is still hitting the ground. He's spilling over into the baseline, and he's been okay so far. So fingers crossed. And this is not, certainly it's extra time in the training room, and it's not something that can't reappear. But according to his own words, everything is okay as things stand now.
I want to get my Kyrie thought in real quick before we get to the starters, because Luke just dropped a bombshell in the comments. But it's going to be tough for Kyrie tonight. OKC is going to double him all night. And so he's going to have to be quick with his decision-making. He's going to have to deliver balls, crisp passes, cross-court. Caruso's going to be jumping the passing lane. Shai poking balls away. They got a lot of wingspan, even though they're not a very tall team. So I think this game for Kyrie is going to be tougher mentally than it is physically. It's going to be tough for him to get shots when it's not coming in transition, which in my opinion is all the more reason to try and get out and run. The only way you're going to get easy shots if you're Kyrie tonight is to push it off of misses, off of turnovers, sometimes even off makes. And then Luke in the chat says, how about this, y'all? Mavs starting 5. Kyrie, we expect it. Gafford, PJ, we expect it. Dinwiddie, that's a bit of a change. He did not start last game.
No,
and how about Kessler Edwards? ?
I mean, Edwards has not played for Dallas this season.
Jeez.
But he has 7,000 minutes as an NBA player. He is not a totally inexperienced player, and he played well against a team like Oklahoma City. You're not going to win, by...
It's surprising.
It is surprising. But you're not going to
he'll
win.
be guarding Shai. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
But that's why he's in there.
Yeah.
To Edwards' credit last night, he played pretty well, I thought. I thought he was a plus for them. Had a nice drive to the basket, made a nice layup off of a backdoor pass from Daniel Gafford. Had some decent defense on Anthony Edwards. I mean, what the hell? Why not? I mean, you got a chance to see a guy take on an Oklahoma City. Let's see what the kid's got. And get him out there, and let's see what he does against a talented Oklahoma City.
The challenge, though, is he has to be ready to shoot.
Yeah,
dude.
He's got to take shots.
OKC is going to be doubling Kyrie. They are going to leave him so wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be the first or second possession of the game. The ball is going to find him in the corner, and he has got to be ready to let that thing fly.
Yeah.
And until he knocks a couple down, they're going to keep doing it. And so, I'm really intrigued to see how he can defend Shai, how he fares in that matchup. I'm very worried about what this could mean for the half-court offense, but it's a huge opportunity for him.
He's got to take the shots, be willing to take them. And because there was a couple times last night where he was playing hot potato with the next guy. It's like, come on, guy, you got to shoot it. You got to have some confidence. We'll see for Kessler Edwards what that means for him tonight. They're going to be taking on OKC Thunder team, that's led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, of course, NBA MVP frontrunner, averaging 32 points per game, which is number 1 in the association. He's also number 2 in the NBA in steals per game so far this year. Number 1 in total points so far this year in the league as well. Coming off a career high 54 last night in the win over the Utah Jazz.
We're good.
Let's hope so. Or Kessler Edwards holds him to a little bit of less than that, because my gosh.
Doesn't he average 30? Isn't that the famous thing about Shai? So
32. Yeah.
He averages 32. All right.
Yeah.
So he can score 8 points, 10 points tonight, and then over a 2-game stretch, that will be an average of 32.
I agree.
That's good math there, Tim. That's good math. Meanwhile, Alex Caruso has been a demon on defense for them. He had 4 steals in what was 20 minutes last night. Jalen Williams averaging nearly 21 points per game so far this year. Bobby's favorite player, Lou Dort, averaging 9.8 points per game and 1 point steals per game so far this year. I got the reaction I was looking for. Meanwhile, the Dallas Mavericks and the Thunder playing each other for the final time this season. Mavericks with a win tonight can win the season series over the Oklahoma City Thunder, with the Mavericks playing the Thunder just less than a week ago. Of course, in what was a 106-98 win at the American Airlines Center. Kyrie Irving leading 4 Mavericks in double figures with the 25 points that he had. Big note in that game, though, no SGA, of course, as he missed his first game of the season due to that wrist injury. He is available and good to go tonight for the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is a juggernaut of a defense. I don't have to go through the numbers to let you know how good they are defensively. The one that you do need to know is that they are number 1 in the NBA in defensive rating, a 103 so far this year. By far and away the best in the league. Much more on tonight's game with who's in, who's out, some X factors for tonight's game, and our Mavericks player spotlight as well, as we get you ready for the Mavericks taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. But before that, let's talk to you a little bit about sleeper.
It really feels like my legacy is on the line right now because
Kinda like
I'm
Kessler
How
in
many
a,
have you
tonight.
lost in a row now?
I don't want to know. I think it's at least 4. I was
Embarrassing.
cooking before that, though, is the thing. And so I'm still up on the season, I promise. But
Kind of like the Mavs. Good job.
here's my sleeper play of the night. So I don't remember what order I did this in, but I'm going Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for 25 points. I'm going PJ Washington for more than 14.5. That's obvious. The dude owns the state of Oklahoma. That's easy, right? Daniel Gafford, I think, is going to score at least 10. And then Jalen Williams, the guy that decides to take charges instead of ever contesting a single shot in his life despite playing center for his entire career, I think he's going to make at least 1 3-pointer. With sleeper, the more you pick, the more you can win, up to 100 times your money. So this one, the multiplier is times 2.252. Times 2.52. Easy for me to say and easy for me to win. A $5 play would be $12.60. If you think you know ball and you want to play with me or you want to make your own picks, download Sleeper today. Use promo code DLLS Mavs. Play $5. Get $55 free to use on any play. It doesn't have to be your first one. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details.
Mavericks taking on the Thunder tonight with game time at 7 p.m. If you're going to be watching the game, you can watch it on either WFAA Channel 8 or on KFAA Channel 29 as well. Let's get to the Mavericks and Thunder's injury report. We'll start with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Isaiah Hartenstein, he is out with the left solar strain. Isaiah Joe, he is out due to illness. And with the Dallas Mavericks, it is lengthy and, of course, unfortunate with lukadoncic being out with the left calf strain. Derek Lively out, of course, with the right ankle stress fracture that he's dealing with. Dante Exum continues to remain out with his right wrist injury. Jaden Hardy out with the right ankle sprain. Dwight Powell.
Stop.
It's bad. Dwight Powell out with the right hip strain. Najee Marshall, unfortunately, out for the second straight game due to illness. And Klay Thompson is out once again with the left ankle sprain.
We need to get Najee like a humidifier or something, you know?
Humidifiers do work well.
I just got one the other day.
Oh, really?
It's been a game changer.
Steph Curry, Shea, Kevin Durant, LeBron, James, Jokic.
Those are your all-star starters on the west side?
Yeah. I was gonna it's not quite that level of an injury report, but there's a lot of talent missing.
Meanwhile, for the Eastern Conference, shout out to Jalen Brunson making his second all-star start appearance. Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, Giannis will also be a part.
Jason Tatum.
And Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics. Those are your starting 5 in the Eastern Conference. So the all-star starters being named tonight in the association. And what is
shout out Jalen Brunson.
Good dude.
He's a good dude and a great player.
Yeah.
And the Knicks have found themselves a dynamite point guard and leader for years to come.
I hosted a podcast with Jalen Brunson one time.
Say what now?
I had JB on a podcast one time.
Yeah.
It was great.
How'd it go?
Really well.
What did he want to talk about?
All sorts of stuff.
Do you think he's a better podcaster than a basketball player?
No, not even close.
No.
Does he play chess?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
His roommate show is good, though, with him and Josh Hart.
Yeah.
It is pretty good. He knows ball, too, because Jalen Brunson got into the whole MVP
Do you think he's a better podcaster
narrative
than you?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Bold, arrogant, egotistical, one might say.
JB, come on the show and prove me wrong.
Let's get
You just have a pod off?
Oh, I would pick
That,
Bobby.
that just sounds.
I would pick Bobby in a pod
I just
off,
don't like-
actually.
Let's go.
Yeah,
I don't like how
go.
pod off sounds.
Now, on the court,
Yeah.
and that's another story.
Yeah, I'm picking Bobby easily.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's get to our
He
Mavericks
goes
player
straight for the
spotlight
knees.
on tonight. And let's focus in on PJ Oklahoma, otherwise known as PJ Washington for your Dallas Mavericks. Washington coming off 30 points last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. In 2 games so far this year against the Thunder, Washington averaging 21.5 points per game, 12 rebounds, shooting a whopping 62.5% from the three-point line and 62% from the field, also giving you a block shot per game against the Thunder so far this year. Needless to say, Tim Cato, PJ Washington is going to have himself a game, had a career-high 17 rebounds. The last time he was in Oklahoma City, PJ Washington going to loom large tonight for the Dallas Mavericks if they want to try to get a win.
Yes. I do worry that at some point maybe PJ Oklahoma is going to... Honestly, if he has to take if he has to have an off night from PJ Oklahoma, tonight's a good night to do it. Just in the sense that I think he could play the best game of his career, and Dallas might just not have enough bodies out there. But he's super important because he gives you size at a 4 position that Oklahoma City can't quite match. Obviously, the Thunder have some big men back, and they don't have their top two, but they have big men they can play. They can put guys out there. But PJ Washington gives you, when he is at his best, he plays above himself. He plays larger than, his actual size, and that matters. That is something that we have seen Dallas when they're successful against Oklahoma City, they're bullying them. They are able to, just be big, be tall, go grab basketball. And that's what PJ Washington is so good. That's what makes him so important in this matchup. Also, the fact that he does not miss, shoots 97% on corner threes. That also helps.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, Tim. I want to see PJ have a good game.
Yeah.
He's been just really, really up and down for the better part of 2 months, and playing without Luka and Kyrie for a lot of it, sometimes even both of them, is going to mean you're not getting easy shots served up to you, so everything is going to be a little more difficult. We've talked about that ad nauseum on the show. But last night, 30 points on 12 of 22 shooting. It almost all came from twos. Mm-hmm. He made 1 3, so he made 11 twos, which he's really been struggling on those floaters and stuff lately. I've talked about that a bit, but his previous games before that, 5 of 15, 6 for 8, good, but 4 of 11, 2 of 10, 3 for 9, 5 of 13. He had a 7 of 22, a 6 for 18. He had 8 for 20. Like, there's been so many games lately where he just has not been able to be super efficient. And right now, with all the guys that they're missing, they kind of need volume scorers. They need guys that aren't afraid to shoot. They need guys that aren't afraid to call their own number. He's demonstrated that confidence, that courage, that ability, but he hasn't been able to knock them down. And so it would be really nice, even if they lose by 75, it would be really nice if he was able to go out there, get a couple things going to the basket, knock down a couple jumpers, maybe knock in a 3 or 2, and just have something to feel good about, because whether it's against OKC tonight or Boston on Saturday or maybe even the lowly Wizards on Monday, the Mavs are going to need to win a game at some point, and they're going to need PJ to play well to do it.
His most concerning trait, though, when he does call his own number, not that, but when he's an isolation scorer, when he is driving, or posting up and taking people on, and it's not just a transition opportunity, something like that, he can be a little loose with the ball. And this is the team.
Can't do that tonight.
You cannot do that
the
against this
singular
team.
Best team. Maybe
None of this.
This might be the best NBA, like the best team in NBA history at turning you over. Just when you consider the context of everything around them, they're so good. They like the best hands in NBA history. Like, I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. They are that much better. Their defense is that much better than the second best team in the NBA. Something like 5 or 6 points, historically great. You got to be so careful if you're going to be driving into traffic. If you're going to be trying to split a help defender, and that help defender maybe is Alex Caruso or it's Jalen Williams. You have to be very, very aware of where those players are. Very strong with the ball. You've got to be hugging it, man. Just wrap it up. If that's the drive, if that's the type that you're gonna, if that's how you're getting to the lane, like, give that thing a bear hug. Don't let it go. And because if you expose any of it, if you give them the chance, OKC is going to take advantage of that. So that's the one thing I just, as this gets piped into the Mavericks locker room, obviously, as we know, PJ, I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm reminding you. Yeah. I'm sure Jason Kidd already said this to you, but I know you value what I say, just a little bit more sometimes. So just be very aware of that fact.
That's a perfect segue into our Mavericks X Factors in tonight's game. And I'll start with this one. And just to piggyback off of what Tim Cato has said there, you got to protect the basketball against this Oklahoma City Thunder team. The Mavericks are 19th in the NBA in their last 14 games, committing turnovers and nearly 15 turnovers per contest. You cannot turn the ball over against this Oklahoma City team, who is number 1 in the NBA in steals per game at 11.5, number 1 in the NBA in deflections per game at 22.1, number 1 in loose balls recovered as well at 5.7 per game. If the ball is on the floor, it's a 50-50 situation. The Thunder are coming away with the ball more often than not. So you've got to protect the ball and make sure that you are making crisp, sound passes, but also you're not pounding the ball into the floor for 14 seconds at a time, because these hands are active when it comes to the Oklahoma City Thunder going into tonight's game.
Loose balls, great point. What's the number one thing that happens? The first thing that happens if you're really tired, and the Mavs are going to be
the jump ball.
really tired tonight.
No. Oh, I thought you were talking about like the game.
You're slow to react.
Yeah.
You're slow to get there.
Oh, the
you're
national
you're
anthem.
mentally tired. You're physically tired. You are just drained. Ball bounces off the rim. You're going to watch it. Ball's bouncing on the floor. You might be jogging. You might not be on the floor. Like all of those 50-50 balls, you got to win 60 or 70% of them to beat OKC. You have to out-hustle the hustle kings.
Mm-hmm.
There got to be 70-30 balls tonight.
Yep.
You got to grab all of them.
You got to rename the 50-50 ball. It's got a new name now.
You call it 70-30 ball. Got it. X factor number 2, if you're the Dallas Mavericks, and this is something that we have all talked about on this show, especially after last night's dreadful performance on the three-point line. The Mavericks got to knock down threes against this team. The Mavericks are 11th in the NBA in three-point percentage overall this year at 36.7%, but they are 7th worst in three-point percentage over the last 14 games during that span. Of course, they are 4-10. Bobby, you've talked about it. Tim, you've talked about it. You've got to knock down maybe 50-60% of the three-pointers that you take in order to give yourself a chance offensively, especially against a team as good as the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have not done that well as of late, and the record reflects some of that when it comes to their three-point shooting. Finally, when it comes to X factors for tonight's game, we saw last Friday the game was pretty chippy between these two teams. In fact, there were 5 technical fouls and a flagrant foul called in that particular game, but the Mavericks were the ones that were able to keep their composure enough to win that game. That, to me, gentlemen, is X factor number 3 for me. Who keeps their composure the best tonight in what is a rivalry game in Rivals Week in the association? We know how much these two teams dislike each other. It's personal when these two teams get together. Kyrie Irving even saying that after the last time they played each other. This game means a lot to both of these teams after meeting each other in the Western Conference semifinals last year. The Mavericks winning. They have a chance to take 3 of 4 games this year against Oklahoma City. Who keeps their composure tonight is going to be a big factor in tonight's game in my mind.
It's not even just composure, though. It's also just don't reach.
Sure.
And that's another
That's part
hallmark
of composure,
being,
I think, too, yeah.
Yeah, that's another hallmark of being tired is like, oh, you're beat and you're like just frustrated, so you're just going to swipe at the guy. The Thunder make a gazillion free throws per game. They shoot a Googleplex percent from the free throw line. Like Shai will get 15 or 20 free throw attempts tonight, and he's going to score 15 or 20 points off them. The Wolves did that last night. They made 30 of their 34 free throw attempts. That's why the Mavs lost, because they kept just committing a bunch of lazy fouls. You cannot do that tonight, especially if it starts getting chippy, because what happens in chippy games, the officials just can't wait to blow their whistle the next time they see anything happen because they just don't want to let Lou Dort get too mad. All right? They got to keep Lou Dort under control. So if it does get chippy, defend literally with your hands behind your back. Otherwise, you will foul out, and they can't afford to have that happen.
I do not work for the Dallas Mavericks. I am not on the coaching staff. I do not play for them. I really hope this game gets chippy. It's a lot of fun to talk about. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
It is some of the most exciting stuff. Is it the best way to go win this basketball game? Honestly, given the circumstances of who Dallas has available, maybe it is. So if you want to say that is actual basketball advice, yeah, it is. Go make it chippy. That's like that is, especially, if you just look like you are being outmatched early on, who cares? Don't get suspended. Don't do that. Do not go get suspended for. I guess
next game is Boston. Get a 1-game suspension.
Yeah,
All right, wait a minute. Game after that is Wizards. Get a 2-game. They just lost the Hornets.
One game suspension. Far.
Yeah, you are given the green light to do something that will get you up to a 1-game suspension because that'd be a lot of fun for us here on the show to talk about if this game goes like it's probably going to go. I would love to talk about a big scuffle at midcourt. Otherwise, yeah, don't miss the game against Washington because we've seen how those should be wins, should be W's have gone in the past.
What's your favorite scuffle word? Kerfuffle, brouhaha,
fight.
Oh, well, that's a little more okay.
Kerfuffle is nice.
Yeah, I just like fight, man.
Tiff.
Yeah.
Tiff's not bad.
Yeah.
Brouhaha is, I think, my favorite one.
Brouhaha is cool. We don't get any of that in basketball.
Tanner, you got a favorite?
It's doing too much.
Scuffle word? No,
I got nothing.
Okay.
You got
Skirmish.
nothing.
Skirmish. That's a good one. Okay.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Well, we'll ponder on those as the Mavericks take on the Oklahoma
That'll
City
be the
Thunder.
third segment tonight.
That's right. It's game time as your Mavericks take on OKC, looking for their 3rd win of the season and the season series. Donnybrook is a great one, Ardell. That's a great one.
I don't even know what that word means.
Awesome one, actually.
Melee. Ooh, that's a good one.
Melee's good. Yeah.
Melee's
good video game.
We'll be back 15 minutes after tonight's game is over. We'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, live in studio as well. Really appreciate you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. That's Bobby Carella, our Mavericks analyst. That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you 15 minutes after the game between the Mavericks and the Thunder. Y'all be good.
See ya.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.